won't accept the loss, I'm hard-headed. There's a little bit of madness to my method. Many falling off that fine line that I'm treading. I risk anything to be great, and I'm not letting nobody rob me of my victory. Number one, that's what I'm meant to be. When by any means, only thing that makes sense.
All right, here we go. It is episode 5 of the Red, White, and Crew podcast, and it's another one here today. It's a late one. It's our after dark edition, as Rafa and I like to call it, right? So thank you for, if you're with us live, first of all, what does the matter with you? But second of all, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. As we're going to dive into our preview of match day 2 for Mexico and South Korea. But before we do, I want to tell you about our great title sponsor in GoalGetter. This episode is brought to you by GoalGetter, a recruiting education platform built to help female soccer student athletes and their families navigate the path to college soccer. The process can feel overwhelming, especially when families don't fully understand the recruiting landscape. GoalGetter provides the education, tools, and guidance that families need to navigate the recruiting landscape and make informed decisions. To get more information, you can visit them, at goalgetter.com. Again, that's GOLGETR.com, goalgetter.com. And you can also follow them on Instagram as well as on X at goalgetter. That's GOLGETR soccer to learn more. Again, that's at goalgetter soccer, GOLGETR soccer to learn more. So, all right. Hey, it is time. Thank you for being here. So I am joined tonight by, we're going to go around the horn here. So first, our resident expert of L3 and Coach Rafa Castorena joining us, Mr. Late Night Heyman, joining us live from the SMU camp. Thank you for being here, brother. And as well as the head coach of the Frisco Emerson Mavericks, Coach Aaron, don't call me Wesner. Coach, how are you, buddy?
Yep. Oh, I'm doing great, man. You said it was after dark, so I just went to the dark.
Yeah, you literally do. You look like the old Brian might know this. Do you remember? Well, I don't know, Rafa too. The old I saw it when you first came on the screen. I thought of the old Phil. What was the old Phil Collins album where it just has the head? It just needs to be in black and white. I forgot what it was. I'll find it. I'll send it to you. But anyway, so yeah. Dating myself there, but I don't care. So what's going on, guys? How are things?
Life is good, man. We're just working camp and getting ready for another camp tomorrow, start up at SMU and have some fun coaching some soccer and watching a lot more of it.
Now, how many more days do you have to go up there?
We start our second camp tomorrow and we will be here until Saturday. So, which has been kind of chaos because SMU is the site of the training session. So when we got up here on Saturday, Japan was up here training. And everything around the field is completely fenced off, cut off.
It's pretty cool.
I mean, there's more security than I've ever seen. And then yesterday we had the Dutch out there training their +1 training session. So they were out there. And again, you have all the media people, you have all the random fans that know they're out there and want to just get a photo or an autograph. So it has been kind of chaos this week out here.
Yeah, the Dutch looks like the Netherlands kind of got a good little setup, right? I think they go They go to AT&T Stadium to NRG and then back to AT&T, I think, right, for game 1, 2, and 3, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's a pretty sweet setup. But yeah, so great. I think best match of the tournament so far, in my opinion, still up to this point, Japan and the Dutch. So Rafa, what's going on, buddy?
And not much here in Del Rio. It's another hot day. It's going to get to 106 on Thursday. So
we got up to no. Oh, I think that was the day.
It's going to get to 106 on Thursday. So
hey, speaking of weather, since when do we get like cyclones? I thought they were straight up hurricanes. Or did you guys see that out in your neck of the woods, Brian? It's hidden the coast. You see that?
No, I don't pay much attention to the weather when I'm up here in Dallas. So
it's like some sort of something called a cyclone or something. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention either. So it's camp season for me as well. So that's why I was like, what is this? What did I miss? So Aaron, what's going on, brother? How are you?
Man, I'm just kind of watching the Austria-Jordan game right now, and there was an absolute banger a second ago.
I must have just missed it. I was like, I just saw the 1-0.
Austria just scored. Yeah. I mean, it's wild. No, just been, we've got strength and conditioning camp going every day, Monday through Thursday. Doing that and then watching as much soccer as I possibly can. Enjoyed watching Messi score 3 times tonight.
He moves into tying position with Miroslav Klose, right from Germany. So now both sit on 16.
He passed Mbappe and then tied
Yeah,
close.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, Mbappe's close by because Mbappe had two. Hey, what was the
Mbappe got
final
13.
score? What was the final score in the Norway match? Did it end 2-1?
4-1.
No,
4-1?
4-1.
Four
Yeah.
one.
Was it 4? Okay. Oh wow. Okay. I did not know that. But Holland had two though, correct? I
He
saw
did.
two.
He probably had the easiest goal of the tournament.
Really?
The one he picked off the goalkeeper. Yeah, they played it back to the goalkeeper and he hunted it down.
Yeah,
He
I
got
completely
mad at
missed that.
someone.
I completely missed that match. I hadn't seen it, and I basically caught the best of the Argentina match, which was the second half. So still
Yeah.
playing catch up here. Still playing catch up.
Messi could have had 4. They called him off on one.
I was surprised he started, man. To be honest with you, with
I was too.
given the level of competition, you're trying to preserve him for later. I was surprised because when did they sub him? What did he get in? Like 65, 70 minutes, 75 minutes?
About 70
It was
minutes.
as soon as he scored the third one, they took him out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because by the time I came back out, he had already been subbed for a little while, so I wasn't exactly sure when he was subbed. So interesting. So
I needed him off so I can make sure he plays on Monday.
yeah.
So I'm gonna watch him play.
Thoughts over the last case. Now we've been offline for the last few days. Thoughts on today or the last few days? What do you got, Brian? Anything?
It's just been a great tournament. I mean, there's been some great goals, some great games. I mean, even the games you don't expect to be good games. I mean, give it up. I mean, Iraq. I mean, Iraq played really hard today against Norway and had some moments. Iran last night with New Zealand. I mean, that was a fun game to watch. I mean, and then of course, the new bells of the ball at Cape Verde showing up yesterday. So,
Yeah.
again, like I said, this is a World Cup in the Western Hemisphere. Weird stuff happens.
Hey, congratulations to CONMEBOL on finally getting their first victory. Right? I think they sit 1-4, 1-5, right, or something like
About
that.
time.
Yeah. Well, no, there's a couple of draws in there. I take that back. But yeah, they just first they got their first victory finally by the defending world champion. What's up, Rafa?
Now, like I said, I probably expected maybe a couple of the other ones. I think Uruguay should have won. I think that they missed some opportunities yesterday.
Oh yeah.
I think there was one shot by Valverde, really good pass, just didn't get tapped in. We still got one more combat ball. I got Colombia tomorrow, so we'll see
Yeah.
if they
They're
can
the,
get
they're the
second
ones I
one.
want to see play, man. They're the ones I've really been itching to watch play. So I hope all that time that they've been waiting, I feel like they're just kind of like just ready, just roaring to come out. I hope they show well. So we'll see. Well, if so, I mean, I had them as one of my dark horses, so we shall see. So.
Speaking
All right.
of dark horses, sleepers, we all saw Egypt, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was the one we were expecting them to lose, if any of the games. I would
Yeah.
think Belgium's the best team in that group, so to speak. But Belgium didn't look great.
Hey, right. Well, I have not. Belgium's kind of weird, man. They're kind of an enigma, just because I feel like they're one of the ones that I picked that I feel is gonna potentially get old in this tournament, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they brought in some younger talent, but I mean, they were just like last night. Last night we were going back and forth on the chat, but a little bit later, I know they were talking about how I forgot who it was. I don't know if it was on CBS Golazo. They were talking about how bad what's his name looked. Drawing a blank on his name. Midfielder from Belgium.
Yeah, Kevin
De
De
Bruyne.
Bruyne.
Yeah, they were talking about how just De Bruyne said like how rough he looked. Like he wouldn't have been able to start on most. Forget about championship, but they said like League One teams, right, in the in the FA, in the English FA. So I was like, wow. So I don't know. I mean, and you got bailed out by how old is Lukaku at this point now? Is he 37 himself?
Did you even really give it to him? I mean, yeah, he was the closest one to it, but that was an own goal.
Did they give it? They officially gave it to him?
No, they didn't give it to him. But everybody, I know, like all my kids in their group chat, all my players, they were like, he just got subbed on. He's such an instant impact. And then he went on to still perform the worst out of the next 25 minutes. I was like, I don't know if we can give him credit for that.
Yeah. I didn't see. Yeah, I mean, he got a little like a whiff of it, but the
Maybe.
last touch I saw was
in
going
the
through.
area. I saw a great AI video later, and it had him running in, but it had him enlarged by about 1,000 times with a giant gut, and he just basically ran in and destroyed the goal.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, interesting. I mean, Europe and CONMEBOL not exactly putting up the best of. Thought that France one. I thought the France match was interesting, right?
I thought it
Um,
was good. I thought it was a
yeah,
good game. I thought Senegal was going to lay down after that second goal, and I
yeah,
mean, the goal that they scored from that youngster. I mean, he sat his defender on the ground.
yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
It
Did
wasn't
you
great
see?
goalkeeping either, but it moved.
Did you see Deschamps' reaction to that when they gave up that goal? He was
Yeah.
not happy. He was not happy.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I mean, but just I don't know. I think that's the difference, right? So I see France and Spain very similar, but after that first, their first impression going around, I don't know, big difference between just France has that dog, right?
They really
Spain, you're just kind of like, dude, you're looking over to the sideline for a 17-year-old to bail you out because you
yeah.
guys, you don't, you don't feel like playing, or you show up thinking it's your God given right to just show up and you'll win. Next thing you know, you're in an actual fight and you want to try to seize back some momentum and it's too late. Just very, very, very just disappointing in that Spain performance.
No, it's not going to be good looking forward if they continue that way. Something's got to change. But I thought out of all the things today, even the game, the France Senegal game, as yeah, Mbappe scored 2 goals and they were nice. The second one was even better. But for me, Olise looked the best player on the field. I mean,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
played so well today. That first pass to set up Mbappe, which is pretty crazy. Did you guys see Mbappe's celebration?
I did. Yeah,
He did the flute. They were talking. That's exactly what he told James Corden. James Corden actually asked him to do it, and
yeah.
he was like, "Yeah, I got you."
Yeah, yeah. Elise's a stud, man. If we could just get him some real font like the rest of his teammates, like that video I sent you, But I was like, I don't know
I
what's up
did
with
see
that,
that.
but yeah, that was hilarious. But all right, so we are here to talk about match preview Mexico South Korea match day 2 slated for Thursday 8 p.m. Central, I believe, right, Rafa? I think it's 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Central our time here. Uh, here in most of Texas, at least. So thoughts going in as we start diving into this one, Rafa, your initial thoughts just on the surface after clearing what was kind of an odd match in versus South Africa in the Azteca. Now they make their way over to Estadio Guadalajara, Akron, I guess, whatever you want to call it. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, after the first game, like I said, there were some nerves, just kicking off everything, and really, like I said, they should have routed more South Africa on that, 4-5-0, but they kind of took a step back. But I think, but that's Aguirre. That's kind of how he is. Maybe he was probably saving some of it for this game because he knew this game was probably going to be the key in going in. If they can win this one, they pretty much will win the group. And knowing that South Korea is going to be a lot tougher challenge compared to South Africa, and like I said, it's a game that I think it's a for me it's a must win. I think if you win this one, it really alleviates a lot of the pressure. And like I said, this time around, like I said, I know South Korea played there the last game, but it wasn't really much as far as a quote unquote hostile environment. No, this time it is going to be a hostile environment. So it's going to be a little different challenge for them. I know with the red card's going to be affecting them too, as far as with Mexico losing that one of their defenders. How do they make that adjustment? Is Edson ready to go? Like I said, he hasn't played much. But he did look all right. He's I think hopefully he can get set for this game. But it's gonna be another tough challenge, and but I think Mexico can pull this one off. And if so we'll see how this one goes on Thursday night.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting, right? Because you talk about so they come in with a +1 goal differential over South Korea after South Korea's 2-1 2-1 win over Czechia in a very, very good match. But I feel that so this is Mexico's got a number of things that they have to adjust here against a very dynamic, very fluid, very technical, probably a team that's more technical than they are and can play well in tight spaces in South Korea, and who also likes to quickly get up and go direct, right, on a moment's notice. So, but the biggest thing here, right? So we talk about their current form: Mexico 2-0 over South Africa, South Korea 2-1 over Czechia. Depending upon the result that they can get out of here, right? I think if it's a draw, if it's obviously if South Korea wins, you're worried if you're Mexico. But even if it's a draw, right? You realize South Korea's got South Africa left, right? Which that's heavy, heavy, heavy advantage South Korea. South Korea knows that they're going to have to pour it on versus South Africa, right? So versus Mexico, Mexico will go up against a tricky Czechia squad that is very probably it is officially. I learned this today. They're the biggest, they're the tallest team in the tournament, right? And they do very well in set pieces, which is something that also Mexico does very well at, has done very well under Aguirre, but now that's probably, you have to imagine that's going to be somewhat neutralized for going up against Czechia. So interesting how they're going to play this. This is basically theoretically for the group, right? As we knew that kind of going in, but more so now that you're starting to see what the results are like and the head to head. So, Brian, what are your thoughts on this as we start looking at their current form, their momentum as they start to prepare for Thursday?
Well, I mean, I think from what we saw from Mexico in the opening game, I mean, we talked about coming out early, and Mexico came out aggressive from the start, getting the goal. And I don't know if that was them creating the goal or that was more South Africa just handing them the first goal. But obviously, Quinones is very dangerous, and we'll see if he's going to be able to replicate something and get himself a goal early and get Mexico in that game. I have a feeling this game is going to be one that's going to be just very cagey affair. I think South Korea is going to be very patient against Mexico, look to hit them on the counter. I think South Korea is going to be a lot more dangerous than South Africa was, and I think because of that, I think this game's I think it's going to sit 0-0 for a while, and then it's going to come down to individual brilliance. Is it going to be Son that does it for South Korea? Is it going to be Quinones that does it for Mexico? I don't think Jimenez wins this game for Mexico. I think it's a Quinones game. If Mexico's going to win this game, he's got to be the X factor for Mexico, because I don't know if South Korea's got someone that can really just stay with him in the way he plays the game.
Yeah, the interesting piece on this one is we kind of highlighted here in terms of some key players, right? Is the big one to remember is at center back, Cesar Montes is officially, he's out for this one because of the red card, right? The stupid, silly, shouldn't have been a red card versus South Africa that somehow was not rescinded. But all indications are, right, in terms of the people, the key reporters with L3, embedded with L3, is that they might be plugging in person who's not a center back, and Edson Alvarez in for Cesar Montes, which is kind of interesting, right? That in itself. So how do they adjust to that? So if that does happen, Rafa, what do you anticipate in terms of formation? Do they look to go to a 4-1-4-1? What do you think?
That's a possibility. I can see him maybe go a 4-2-3-1 just to kind of shore up that middle, just to make sure they don't get killed by any through balls and so forth, which Korea's good at. South Korea's good at. That's something you saw in the first game. They would have kind of penetrated a lot of the Czech Republic's defense. So I think Aguirre understands, like I said, that key loss. So he wants to kind of really kind of make sure that one little sweet spot's kind of taken care of, and he wants to make sure that maximizes their opportunity for them not to get killed there. Because, as I said, this is a little different challenge because they know they're going to get attacked. Like I said, South Korea just stayed back. South Korea's not going to do that. They're going to go up there. They're going to challenge them. Like I said, like Coach mentioned, they may pick their spots. They may look for those counters, and like I said, he's going to try to make sure that they can kind of neutralize those counter attacks and so forth. So, and then like I said, I think he may have to even go kind of deep into not say too deep in the bench, but there's going to be some players that I'm going to have to step it up for that loss. Not having Edson there to kind of miss that little factor there what he normally does, because he does a lot of organization. That's the one thing about Edson, he does organize a lot, so he's got experience. So having him in the back there kind of does help out. At least there's some confidence and there's some experience back there.
Yeah. So, Aaron, from your perspective, right? Your South Korea, right? How do you utilize Son in terms? How do you what do you throw at Mexico specifically with Son, knowing that one of the key center backs for Mexico is out, and they're going to have to make some serious adjustments?
Oh, I think they're going to have to attack early and often, and I think they're going to have to go at the replacement that comes in, and we're going to see how well he can stand up. One of the things that I didn't feel like Mexico did a great job of was, South Africa didn't look great at all. We can all agree on that. But I think the transition game, Mexico was a little slow in some of those areas, which kind of led to the red card, the stepping, and we can agree. Well, I think we all agree that wasn't a red card. It was a foul, but not a red card. Um, I think that's the key to this game. The transition game is going to be the one that wins this. And for me, watching both games, and if I'm just going off both the games that we've seen, because I don't watch Mexico like Rafa does, and I can't tell you all the ins and outs, but watching that game, for me, the way South Korea was able to transition forward and transition back on defense, man, they sprinted back every time that Czechia had a counter. And really, Czechia's only big threat that they had were those set pieces, the long throw-ins, because that's where they had the advantage. Like we said,
Yeah,
they're the
those
tallest
ties.
team, in the
Yeah.
group. So for me, I think this game between South Korea and Mexico is going to be that transition game. Who can win on the counterattack against the opponent? And I just think that from what we've seen so far, South Korea has that advantage. Um, so I agree with Brian too. I think a big one for me is watching Quinones. Can he come out and have the same type of dynamic game that he had? And I think Rafa made a good point about the South Korea having to deal with the crowd, because in the first game you could really tell that everyone who was there, whether it was all South Korean supporters or we had some Mexico fans that were in there as well, but everyone was behind South Korea. They fully enjoyed watching them play, and every time they got on the ball, everyone was really excited and they were loud. It's going to be a complete different game tomorrow with them being a pro Mexico crowd, and they're going to be rowdy. So, again, it's one of those games. Can Mexico keep their crowd in the game, or does their play start to upset them? And I think Mexico might have one of the most critical fan bases out there when it comes to cheering on their team and then letting their team know when they're displeased
Right.
with the way they're playing.
Yeah, and I think that it's an interesting point because here's the other thing is like the key matchup, right? You can talk about Son, you can talk about Jimenez, you can talk about Quinones, right? Who really kind of stood out in that first one, that first match for Mexico. But I feel that so Brian hit on something, right? Talking about it being a cagey matchup. The key battle, right? That I plugged in doing enough research on this stuff is I feel, and that's why I plugged it in here, was so Eric Lira and Hwang In-bum for South Korea. I think in that midfield, because so between what Brian was talking about, the caginess, but also Aaron, I feel that one of the key places where I think Mexico can get caught by this South Korea group because how dynamic they are is in transition, right? And if you talk about a player who's out of position, maybe filling in at center back and Edson Alvarez, or maybe they go with, here's the other question, right? They're talking about Rafa. I don't know your thoughts on this, but it sounds like strong indications that Gilberto Mora is going to get the start in this one, right? So, I mean, how do you handle that transition? And then I was like, obviously, it's not the best of starting points for Gilberto Mora, right? But it is what it is. But then also playing in Guadalajara, it's not the Azteca, right? It's not the same thing. It just isn't, right? Altitude isn't the same, and I don't think. I mean, you talk about a very composed South Korea squad, maybe not on the level of Japan, but probably the next best, right, out of Asia in terms of just how composed they are. So, your thoughts on those, Rafa?
Yeah, if Gilberto Mora does start, and like I said, it'll be interesting because, like I said, it's I get it's really kind of relying on a 17-year-old to really kind of do some damage to the midfield. I still think one player that I think we forgot to mention is Alvaro Fidalgo. I think he's really, I think you probably see him start again because he does bring a lot of experience, especially in the midfield. And if you've seen him play with Club in the past, like I said with he just said with Betis, but with Club America too, he was a really good organizer. And then he's got that chemistry with Quinones because, like I said, when they won those 3 straight championships, those guys were like a terror. Whereas feeding the balls to him and so forth. And so keep an eye on him. I think he's going to be also one of those other kind of unsung heroes that I think can help kind of neutralize that that counterattack for that South Korea is going to bring in this game. But if the Gilberto Mota does start, like I said, this South Korea have anything that can stop him? Like I said, he's also been, he's been has a good showing this year with Tijuana and all that. He's got that buzz around him, and I think he'd be motivated to, especially in that crowd over there in Guadalajara, to get it going. And I think this could be his breaking out party if he does, get the start and has a good showing.
Yeah, going to be an interesting one for sure, right? We talk about our key battles, something to keep an eye on. How do they play? Who fills in there, right, for Montes at center back? How do they handle that? What formation? I think that will tell us a lot in terms of what formation does Mexico come out in, and does Gilberto Mora get the start, right? I think South Korea very consistent, right? I don't know that once you get into beyond like maybe two subs, the difference, right? Does Mexico maybe have the slight edge in depth, right? So we shall see on that one. So, any additional thoughts? So I don't know. South Korea seems to be set on this 3-4-2-1. We'll see if they make any changes on that, or they try to go more aggressive in trying to press and trying to put that back four under a little bit more stress with Montes out. So we shall see. So, all right. So we move on. All right, so keys to victory here. So one of the things, obviously, Montes wasn't plugged in here at the time when I did this up for Mexico. But of these here, when you look at Mexico, Rafa, what do you feel like is the most vital thing that they have to come out? So if you had to pick one of these keys to victory, what do you think is the most vital of all of these?
The vital ones defend as a unit. That's the thing. If I think one game in particular that I watched them before the World Cup was the game against Serbia. And the goal that they gave up, basically they fell asleep. They didn't miscommunication in the back, and then allowed Serbia to take the lead, even though later on they were able to win the game. But comparing Serbia to South Korea, it's a whole different thing. And if you can get behind them against South Korea, you can get in some real deep trouble. So defending as a unit is going to be the key. Stay in communication, not allowing anyone to get behind you. I think that's the key to victory for them. I think the rest, coming into is delivering to Jimenez, but also I think also Quinones can is there anybody in South Korea that can stop him? If he gets it going and gets in the rhythm and penetrates, in the final third and able to get some shots, distance, and he's not afraid to shoot from outside, and if he can sneak a couple of them in, I think that's going to be the key to really kind of the big key to victory for them. But for me, it comes down to defense. Defense wins championships, and for them, if they want to beat South Korea, they have to defend well.
Yeah, I think for me, I think Mexico, the key piece here, I think clear advantage for them is going to be, and struggle for South Korea is probably set pieces, right? So I think anything in space, anything in transition and quick redirection and in open space, I think advantage South Korea for sure. So, all right, Aaron and Brian, thoughts on these when you look at a key for maybe each one going head to head, something that probably piques your interest in terms of matchups for these keys to victories for either South Korea or both.
Yeah, I think looking at this, and you have it there on kind of point 4 for South Korea, is exploiting that space behind advancing fullbacks. I think the interesting thing is going to be how much does Mexico commit forward? Because I think it was Coach Ramos, he was talking the other day, and he had screenshots that he had pulled up for us, that when they were building out, those outside fullbacks were not getting up the field. And he said he was very critical of that because he was like, South Africa wasn't throwing numbers forward. They should have been moving up. So is that an adjustment that they make and they try to move those guys up more and get them involved? And if they do, I think that's a big key point is, can you now take Son and get him running at that back line, exploiting that space, because he's really good at finding space and then running at a defender 1v1. And I think if we get to the point where we're seeing Son having the ball 1v1 against those center backs, Mexico's going to be in trouble with that. It's going to be hard to defend that. So I think a real big key point is exploiting that space if there is any. And then if there's not any, can you be patient enough to move the ball around and find that key space in the middle?
Yeah, I
Right.
think I think there were 2 points in there. One is playing vertical and getting the ball up top to the front three, but also being able to exploit the space behind the outside backs, the advancing fullbacks, but also to test the center backs. We don't know what the center back pairing is going to be yet. If it's going to be Edson Alvarez, he's not a center back, so can South Korea exploit that by putting that back four under pressure? When they played the U.S. back in September, very aggressive on the back four. Put the U.S. back four under pressure. Son going at Tim Ream quite a bit. You know, those were things that really stood out in that game that I was at. Is that going to be the same blueprint that they go after Mexico with? Are they going to push that pressure on the back four, and not just the pressure, not just going forward, but once Mexico has possession in the back four, what does the front three press look like? How are they going to close down the front three or the back four of Mexico with their front three? Try to turn them over within the defending third of Mexico, and can they turn that into goal scoring opportunities? I think the back four of Mexico really has to step up. They've got to be organized, like Rafa says. They've got to be defending as a unit. But this is a huge test for them without Montez playing back there. So can the back four organize? Can they communicate this through? Can they work together? And can they be successful? Withstanding this attack, because this is a very, very good South Korean team that not a lot of people give them the credit for what they have. They are a very, very strong attacking team, and I think we're going to see that tomorrow night.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. I think it's
One
going to be
thing.
for a great matchup. So, Rafa, go ahead.
I was gonna say one thing to keep an eye on also, because Aguirre's done this in the past. Don't be surprised they play with a back five. They end up come up with a 5-3-2, and have Quinones and Raul
Question
up
is,
top.
if he goes with the five, how does he use them? Does he let those wingbacks push forward at all, or only one, or are they going to pick their spots and maybe play conservative? Because Aguirre is still a little bit can be pragmatic in spots, right? So how does he use that five? Because I thought about that. I've been reading up on some of that. The question is how would he use that back five?
Yeah, I would, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he does that, or he plays a 5-4-1. That's, like I said, he's done that on some games, but knowing if anything he can try to do to kind of neutralize South Korea's attack, he may go to that, especially if that way that one little weak link there with Edson, I'm not calling Edson a weak link, but for him to play out of position to kind of shore up that area, I would not be surprised if he goes to a 5-back to kind of kill the space. And like I said, you got guys that can counter too. With Quinones, you get them on the counter attack.
Now, when's the last time you saw them play? Under Aguirre, or if ever, have you seen them play a 5-4-1?
It's been a while since I think.
Because I'm trying to remember, because I wouldn't even know how he would use that midfield. Would it be kind of more of would it be a box? Would it be a diamond? Would it be a traditional kind of, double pivot? I have not seen, under him, I have not seen him play that. So I don't know. That's why I was asking.
Where does Gilberto Mora fit into a 5-4-1 for Mexico? Because I don't think he does.
Yeah, he would if that happens, he'd come off. He's coming off the bench.
He'd have to.
Yeah, it's because I think I haven't seen him doing. It's been a while that he. I think the last time he did it not with Mexico, but he did it with Mallorca. When he coached at Mallorca, he played a lot of that formation. So he maybe can, like I said, introduce that more. And say introduce it, but integrate it into this squad, because I'm sure he does the players for that, just to kind of hide for that loss. So, like I said, he's done it in the past, but Mexico wise, as far as them, it's been a while since they've played something like that. Maybe I don't think even thought they even played that.
Excuse me. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to figure out like how would he play? How would he integrate that midfield with that back five? How would he play that back five? It'd be interesting. But I mean, if he somehow did that, or even not maybe for midfield, but if he goes to a back five, is he willing to just kind of sit back and kind of concede the midfield to to South Korea, because this is a very just dynamic group in South Korea. You go back to when they played the U.S., right? And obviously, the U.S. had played both Mexico going back to last summer as well. But I felt like even with the spanking that they got, that the U.S. got from Belgium and even Portugal, right back in March, both of those, I felt like the one that really kind of frustrated me and left me kind of really scratching my head, because I felt like South Korea. And Brian, were you there at that one? Wasn't that
Yeah,
in September
yeah.
or
That
October?
was that was up in New York. But,
Yeah, and I
right.
felt like I felt like they were pretty just dominant start to finish versus us versus the U.S. in that one. So, and that's where they kind of really got my attention. I was like, and obviously we didn't have the top squad, but I don't think they 100% did either. So, um, so yeah, interesting. So, all right. So, final thoughts on this. So we look at predicted score lines. How do you think it'll play out, or if something early score, late score? What are your thoughts on that? So we'll go. Aaron, we'll start with you.
I personally think Mexico's in trouble, and I think this is probably South Korea is one of the best teams. I mean, if not the best team in that group, and I think just the way they play their style with who Mexico is going to be missing, it's going to give Mexico fits, and they're definitely going to have to come out and play a different game than what they played against South Africa. And I'm not saying they can't, but just from what I've seen so far, I think we're going to see South Africa or South Korea win, and that's going to probably I'm going to go 2-0 win on that one, which then sets up a game against Czechia where they have to at least get a draw if they want to try to get points. Because I really don't believe that 3 points with the goal differential that they would probably see in the negative at that point would get them through to the next round.
Interesting. Two. So you're going 2-0. So, Brian, what about you?
You know, this game just kind of there's so much to it that I think this was going to be fun and it's going to be interesting. I could see this being a 3-2 South Korea game. I think South Korea is going to have a lot of success in the attack, but I also think Mexico is going to have success in the attack. And I think, like I said, I think Quinones is the X factor of the game. I think he gets one early, and I think that kind of gets the crowd behind him. And I think this game's going to be. I think it's going to be very. I think South Korea is going to push the tempo, and I think Mexico is going to hit back on the counter. So I think this is going to be a game that's going to, even though I said it's going to be cagey, I think it's going to be wide open end to end. I think you're going to see a lot of attacking soccer out of this. I think Mexico knows they have to go for it, and if they have Jimenez and Mora and Gutierrez and Quinones up top, those four are going to push the tempo. They're going to go after South Korea's back four, and then South Korea's their front three is going to press Mexico's back four, back five, however many they have, and I could see this game being. I can see there being opportunities for both teams to score, and like I said, I think I'm going to go 3-2 South Korea.
Okay. So before I pass it on to Rafa, so I had the score. I was just going back to our brackets here. So I think Aaron, you actually have. Of course, it kind of plugs it in, so I don't know 100% by the score line, but I get it. So I plugged in my scores. That's why. But this had for yours Mexico winning 2-1, and then Brian, you had the opposite. It was flipped. Had South Korea winning 2-1. So, Rafa, your prediction, scoreline prediction.
It'll be a tight game, but I think Mexico pulls this one off. I think it's a 2-1. I think they win 2-1.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
and Rafa in his bracket. He had Mexico winning 9-0. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was 2-1. 2-1. Yeah, so right on point, Rafa. Yeah, right on 2-1. So. For me, I felt so what I plugged in, and I kind of feel like this to a certain extent. I had 2-2. I had a draw. After seeing them, I don't know, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm giving South Korea too much credit, but I don't see. I either see a draw or a South Korea win. But I don't see a Mexico victory unless it just. Who knows? Unless we start seeing. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully, they don't have the same official right that they had the Brazilian from the first match from Mexico. Because maybe we see some more red cards flying out. But yeah, I guess I'm going to stick with that scoreline. That maybe a 2-2. I think we're going to get some goals. I think we're going to get some goals for sure. Question is how are they are they back and forth? Is it a crazy second half, kind of like what we saw in Japan and Netherlands? But I'll stick with 2-2. But I think I'm leaning heavy draw. I'm leaning like probably 75% draw, if not 25% South Korea by a goal. But yeah, I don't really see, even in Guadalajara, even with the home field advantage. I mean, I don't know, but it's, and then that just kind of depends too. I think it'd be a different story if Montes was there in that back line. But when you're missing one of your bedrocks, one of your key center backs, right, with this dynamic South Korea squad, it's gonna be tough. So what gives? Is it that? Is it the crowd? Is it the environment? And then if they start Gilberto Mora, right, what does that look like, right? And then and then Brian brought up a great point. If they do go to some sort of like a 5-4-1, kind of try to make it a little bit more cagey, where do you fit him in, right? Where do you fit him in? So, all right, I think that's about it. Final thoughts. We'll go through anything in terms of looking forward to tomorrow before I make our plug for our show tomorrow. Any final thoughts as it relates to this? Anything has got you excited about tomorrow, guys?
Well, I'm excited to see if Ronaldo can get his 2 goals like Holland and Mbappe and Messi yesterday today. The pressure, the gauntlet has been thrown to Cristiano. You better step up and get your goals because you're trailing everybody, including our boy Flo. And the race for the Golden Boot is on.
Who's leading it right now? Is it Messi?
I believe Messi.
Yeah,
Messi? Yeah. I would imagine because that's the only hat trick so far. So yeah.
And then Harry Kane's England tomorrow, so we'll see how
Right.
that goes.
Hey, own goals got 2, right? Own goals not OG's not
That's 2. Yeah.
OG's not far behind. So, Aaron,
Oh, wasn't there a third one? There was a third one today.
I don't know. Don't count me
Yes,
for
hey,
my
there
last.
was a third one.
In Norway had one, or I
okay.
mean,
Did they really?
yeah, Iraq had a goal. Iraq the last goal was an own goal too, that Norway got. So yeah, I don't know. Final thoughts for me. I'm excited about Croatia England tomorrow.
Yeah.
I know people are not as high on Croatia. They think they're aging and old. I'm interested to see. Maybe it's just an FC Dallas fan in me, but I'm interested to see if Peter Musa gets used, if he plugs in, and if he does, man. I'm telling you, if he gets the right service, he is on a goal-scoring tear over the last year. And yeah, it's the MLS, but hey, look what Messi did today, and he's been on a tear in the MLS as well. So who knows, man? I think England has probably had the most off-the-field chaos
Yeah.
through this. So does that translate into anything on the field for them and how they play? They get to play in probably the best stadium out of the entire group of stadiums that we have to play here. I know a lot of the Europeans were talking about how amazing it is, and I mean it's climate controlled too, so they're not going to have to deal with the heat tomorrow, which will be nice. But that game's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun to watch. I can't even remember. I was so excited about that game. What else is on tomorrow?
That's the big one. No, there's another one. There's 2 good ones though. I think.
Colombia making their debut.
Oh yeah, Colombia will be interesting to see. I mean, for me, is Ronaldo even going to get on the field long enough to be able to score 2 goals? That's my question.
Put him in junk time.
I don't think he starts, right? I mean, he's not going to start.
I didn't see him or Messi starting, and Messi started. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
No, he's probably starting this game to get these goals on.
So
True. And then you've got Ghana and Panama. Which Panama team shows up?
Portugal versus Congo, DR, England, Croatia. We'll talk about that one in a minute. Ghana and Panama sounds like that could be a free for all.
And remember, Ghana doesn't have one of their players too because they wouldn't let him in Canada.
Yeah. And then you got
because the Canadians are so welcoming to everybody.
They are. Yeah.
Yeah, they sure are, huh?
Well, we know we're not because we make Iran leave right after they play and go back to Mexico, right?
Did you see that? Wow. Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, that's what they're claiming. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but
Who's right. Uzbekistan and Colombia. That should be. How does Colombia handle that? Right, when it's just so the jitters, everything else. How do they handle that? So we know they'll be the favorite, but how do they handle that? So Interesting. So it's a later, or it's the earlier day of matches, I should say. So with the first one with Portugal and the Congo DR starting at noon Central Time. So
That game's at Mexico City,
Ooh.
what's that? Portugal?
Uzbekistan and Colombia.
Oh, okay. Ooh, interesting.
Yeah,
No, no,
the
Colombia. I think they're used to the altitude because there's some altitude there,
Right.
in Medellin or where else they can play at Cali. So I'm sure they're kind of used to that. And then most of Colombians plays. There are some that do play Liga MX, so they have experience on that. We'll see what kind of adjustments Uzbekistan can,
Yeah.
playing there. And then Portugal and Congo's in Houston. So, so that one's in
Yeah.
Houston.
Yeah. So where
Get
is
your tickets, man. They're just under $1,700 right now.
England? Croatia is that's in Dallas, right?
Dallas. Yeah, it's in
Dallas.
Dallas.
Yeah. I knew it was in Texas. I was just trying to remember which one. So,
I,
all right.
I
and
literally just left the celebration party with the English before I came on.
did you? I hope.
Yeah.
I hope Harry Kane had Chonas on. I mean, had more than just Chonas on this time. I don't know if you saw that picture floating around where when they got all their stuff stolen, and there's a pic. It's literally a picture of him and just his Chonas. So I was just like, dude, what are we doing?
Oh, was that when
And-
he was hiding from the tornado?
It could have been. I don't know. I didn't have the full I didn't have the full context, but it was.
Yeah.
But it started showing up right after they were saying it's like all their stuff was stolen. So which
There
was
has been so much stuff happening to them, and I don't know if that's I don't know. I feel like it's justified with the amount of complaining that they do, but
yeah. But if there was ever a team that is just ready to play, it would probably be them, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So yeah, so we talk about and we talk about Croatia, and I hope I'm wrong on this one, but I've been on the record. I've said that, I feel at least one of these three teams in Croatia, Belgium, or Argentina, one of them will get old in this tournament at some point, right? So I get it. You just saw
Belgium
Argentina,
definitely looked it.
right. And there is something. I mean, look, I didn't watch the first half, right, but
Yeah.
and I was in and out on the second half, tracking it closely, but I didn't get to watch it all. But there is something to be said about an Argentina squad who's all their key fire. I don't know. You want to say all their key firepower, but all their goals came from. And yeah, he's different, but it still came from a 38-year-old that we didn't expect to start. Right. So take that for what it is. Right. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's more. But I guess with Argentina, I'm just intrigued what will they look like after they're done with the Argentina Invitational, which is their group, right?
Yeah.
So, and then all of a sudden they got to kick into a serious gear, right? So when they go to flip that switch, will it be there, right? Will it be there?
Yeah, what does their matchups look like?
Right. I mean, they'll have the passion. They're going to want to fight, put up that
Sure.
fight, no doubt. But that's what we mean. That's what I mean by when I say get old. Will it just not be there, right? Will it not be their day? So, and I would love to see them play the Netherlands somehow, some way again. That would be great. That would be great.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And have the Brazil referee ref that game.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. There was what was that? Wasn't that's the record, right? Wasn't it like
It was 14.
yeah, 14?
14.
Yeah. Crazy match. So, all right, that is going to do it for the Red, White, and Crew podcast, episode 5, our preview of Mexico and South Korea, again slated for Thursday night, 8 p.m. in this. I don't even know what they call it, Rafa. Is it Jalisco Stadium, Guadalajara Stadium? What are they?
Akron used to be the Omni Life.
No.
Like I said, that's where Chivas plays, and I hate Chivas.
No,
and
what is
that's-
the FIFA? What is the
the American
FIFA
jersey.
name? What is FIFA calling it? Is it
I think the Akron Stadium. I think
they're
that's
calling
what
it?
it is.
No, I think they can't be calling it that. It's got to be either Jalisco or Guadalajara Stadium.
No, it's Estadio Akron. That's what they call it.
That's what they're calling it.
That's a. It used to be called Omni Life.
No.
But not-
No. I'm saying FIFA, the FIFA name, not the sponsored name. Right? You know what I'm talking about? Kind of like Dallas Stadium for AT&T.
Probably Guadalajara Stadium. I mean,
Okay.
that's probably
Yeah.
that. But I know, but the official name is Estadio Akron.
Yeah, I know. No, that one I know. Being a Chivas guy, I know that. But that's what I was saying because I know it used to be was it Atlas before that. So, yeah, interesting. But yeah, just we'll see. But again, so a special announcement tomorrow. Join us for our first watch along, as we will be coming to you for 3 p.m. Central Time matchup between both England and Croatia, which we were just talking about, live from AT&T Dallas Jerry World Stadium, whatever you want to call it. But we'll be going live somewhere in and around maybe 2:45 to 2:50, a few minutes before 3 o'clock. So looking forward to that as we bring you live coverage and just discuss. Join us, jump in, send your comments, questions, anything you might have as we talk about all things England, Croatia, and the matches on the day, and looking forward to the matches for the rest of the week as we got some great matchups coming up. Again, follow us on. You can follow us on Twitter X, as we call it, Twix, at Red White Crew Pod, as well as at 50_50 pod, on Instagram at Red White Crew Pod, as well as at 50_50 podcast. You can also find the audio podcast on the preferred platform of your choice. Just go on to the 50/50 podcast. Go on there, like, rate, subscribe, give us a rating. If you're listening to this at YouTube at any given time, right? You're not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell as well, that bell button, so you get the live notification of everything we do. Since about 99.9% of everything we do is live, you'll get the notifications for each and every one of our episodes. So, final thoughts, gentlemen. Going through one more time. Anything else to add?
Nah, y'all guys need to go to bed, man. We got a long day, a fun day of soccer tomorrow, so we need to get our sleep, get ourselves ready for this rock and roll.
There you go. Hey, what time do you guys start with that camp tomorrow?
Well, let's see. We have staff meeting at 11. Kids don't start checking in till around noon, so we won't be on the field till around 3.
Wow,
So,
that's a late check-in, man. Wow.
yeah, well, hey, it's how SMU rolls, Betty.
That's not how we do things at Air Force, brother. I'll tell you that.
So,
That's not how we did things at Air Force. So, but no, man. Have fun. I appreciate it. Remember, I'm going to excel for any of the SMU gear that I know you'll be bringing me.
oh, absolutely. I'll see what I can find for you.
Yeah, so, yeah. Just don't bring me one of those shoes that are back there behind you on the table. So, all right. So, for Rafa Cosarena, as well as Mr. Late Night, yes, he is wearing pants, Brian Heyman, as well as Coach Aaron Wesner. I am your host, Coach Hector Cano. Thank you again for being with us tonight. And you know what to do until the next time. Keep downloading and keep listening.